I guess it was for the best. StreamYard was out yesterday. It affected a lot of people. We were just about to go on, and we couldn't go on. And it got me thinking, Craig, well, look, this might be a glitch, an innocent glitch. It might be a third party cyber attack. We know that StreamYard was deflecting that blame and saying that it looked like it was a third party. We still don't really know what happened, but it did get me thinking, what if Palantir decides they just want to pull the plug and we can't go back? We can't log in. Our passwords don't work. What do you do? How do we solve that? What do we do in anticipation to this? I'm not sure if I have an answer to that. But we just have to obviously maneuver and make adjustments. But what if there are no more adjustments to make? I mean, I don't know. It got me really thinking, man, about this new era we're moving into here in this technocratic, dystopian age that we find ourselves in.
Yeah. I think the important thing is to also remember that, Palantir is just a front for the evil doers that want to control us, right? The companies are used by those in power. Yes, the company does have like crazy people running those companies because they're all in the same group, but it's just the mechanism. What are they really trying to do at the end of the day is the question we need to ask ourselves.
Yeah. Well,
this is going on tomorrow. It's going to be crazy.
Tomorrow's going to be crazy. We're going to break it down for you guys, but this was sent to me by our other co-host Tuesdays, Jay Scott, and he said, this is a reminder that just as early as, I guess we're talking August 2024, the U.S. will very likely fight a three-front war against Russia, China, and Iran. Palantir's Alex Karp is saying this, like getting into this warmongering. Like it's very likely, very, very likely that Palantir was essential technology needed for Israel to target Iran last night. It was part of the operation. Very, very likely. We know Palantir was part of the COVID management across the nation. We know that. They had the information available instantaneously when a hospital wasn't up to their quota for the day of the jab. They had the data instantaneously, and they could send someone in and say, you're not getting to quota. Get more done or we pull your funding. That's what Palantir did 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. They've been useful in every sort of keep people in line, push the war narrative forward, and get everybody mad and angry at each other and living out of fear while the money gets transferred. The upward transfer of wealth keeps going, and the military occupation and Western imperialism machine continues. This is real stuff, and nobody's covering this on the mainstream. I'll tell you this, Craig. We were lucky. Okay, so had a chance to work a little bit with TRT. Out of Turkey, that we did some good coverage and got some information out to them. I was doing more of a behind the camera work for that crew out here during the LA protest, riots, uneasiness, whatever you guys want to call it. We saw it. We saw everything. We saw some peaceful. We saw some not. We tried to figure out what was the cause of it. And then I had a chance to then I guess contacted by RT, as you guys know, international, that will air this story, and people want to know around the world. They want to know what's going on in Russia. They want to know what's going on here in LA. So I did get a chance to go on and discuss a little bit of some of the bullet points I had. I didn't get to all the bullet points, Craig, as we know these are very short segments. But let's see. I just want to play a little of that and let you guys know we are expanding. We're getting the message out there, and I know the next time I do this will be. I'm going to take more opportunity with those little moments. You get these little sound bites to get the information out. But I hope that the message at least has been received, that we're coming from a non-tribal point of view, and we're not representing Gavin Newsom or Donald Trump or any sort of element that we want to like give a point to and knock a point off the other team. We are coming from the point of integrity, curiosity, and to figure out what the hell is going on. So here's a little piece of that. From my appearance on RT 2 nights ago, reporting on the disaster here in LA that's been happening last week. Here we go.
Well, let's cross live now to Los Angeles and get a sense of what's happening and why with podcast host, producer, and director Matt Weinglass. Matt, we much appreciate your time today. We have the LA mayor, the California governor, accusing Mr. Trump of exaggerating the level of violence in the process. saying that they can handle security on their own. The American leader says this is long overdue. What's happening here, and who's right?
Yeah, so this feud between Gavin Newsom, our governor here in California, and with the president, this has actually been going on for several months, actually before he took office for the second term, because we had if you remember, we had the fires break out here in LA, where we're at right here. And, you know, they were doing a back and forth on, can Gavin Newsom handle the state? What we see throughout these several months leading up to what has gone down in the streets this past 4 days is we've seen this kind of escalation. Feels like theater. It feels like kind of a WWE rounds for both sides to kind of get at each other's throats, when the ultimate goal is going to be the same thing. We're going to have the unrest, we're going to have the military presence, and we're going to have total chaos. This keeps both sides at each other's throats and not seeing the fuller picture of the state we're moving into, that I fully believe that the two of them are over-exaggerating to basically get their base, keep their base happy. And what Trump is doing, and this is not to excuse how tough he's been on this, but what he's doing is he's flexing his muscles because he did run on this issues, and he's telling the American people, this is what I ran on, this is what I'm doing.
Which is almost like a revolutionary thing, isn't it? Actually following through on your promises.
Oh, absolutely. And now we know that not only has Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass, our mayor, has now conceded and said, no, we have to set a curfew now. We do have a problem. So they're admitting we have a problem. I guess they're saying on one hand, well, Trump caused the problem by bringing the military in. But what we're seeing on the ground, because we're here to see it, this is chaos all around on all sides. And we're seeing instigation not only by the police, we're seeing instigation by the protesters, but they don't seem to be aligned in what they're doing. We're seeing all sorts of different situations unfold, and it's really hard to determine where the cause of this is actually coming from.
Right. Is there a dangerous sense of deja vu going on here as well, Matt? Because, we had local authorities, I remember, during Black Lives Matter protests, during other riots that we've seen in the country, defund the police, for instance, saying that we support you. And then all of a sudden, when chaos breaks out, there's really strict, staunch lockdowns going on here. It just seems that we're going back in time.
Yes, we are. And I want to be absolutely clear here. The theater part of this from the Democratic side, they're on the same side of the police. They want more police funding. So the way they do this, and you brought up Black Lives Matter, the way they do this is they say we need to stop the police presence. We need to get the back of the people. We need to protect the minorities, the communities. But at the end of the day, what do we end up having? We have the cities destroyed. And what do you need to do? You need to up the budgets of the police. And that's what we end up doing. Both parties have been doing it for years, upping police budgets. And we know that ICE has been upped the budget. Every single administration has upped the budget of ICE by about $500,000 every year. And that's been consistent. So it really doesn't matter who's in office at the time. The money is going to the military, the money is going to the police. And yet the people think that there's this battle going on between red and blue, when the reality is we end up at the same conclusion no matter who is in charge.
What's your view of how the mainstream media has been reporting this? Because I'm getting a sense really that they're backing the local officials, saying that the response from the police is disproportionate. Just your view on that, and what the response has been from law enforcement too, Matt.
Well, I think that the media here has definitely got it wrong, and they have to tread lightly when they show up. And we've seen this with our own eyes. When they show up and the national news gets here, the local news, it doesn't matter. They have to be very careful because they know they're targets too by a lot of the vandalism. We've seen their vans be vandalized. They're going around. They don't have their logos. You usually see the logos of the news station. They don't have it. They're very careful. And when they report on this, they wait till they're back in the studio to talk about how scary it is out there. But like as far as the police response, that part is very interesting. Do they call it scary,
Matt? Because I've heard a lot of them saying largely peaceful protests again.
Well, here's the thing. You have the debate of whether or not the intention is peaceful, but then you can't ignore the fact that you're seeing a lot of these violent activities unfold. And the reason that's happening is because there are provocateurs doing this from the crowd. We've seen it for ourselves. So they have to report on that. But you're right. They have definitely started the premises going into this is that it's a good cause, which it is. And I have to be very clear here. The sentiment in LA is very fearful right now. We're seeing people ripped out of their homes. We're seeing the Latino community. This is a Latino area. The majority people here are Latino, and they're affected by this. And so when they see when you're taking to the streets for this, you're understanding that they are standing up for a good cause. The problem is it gets out of hand in the streets because there's people doing things that was not the original intention. Understood.
Matt, we really appreciate you staying up to talk to us today. Good to see you as well. Podcast host, producer and director Matt Weinglass, live from Los Angeles.
Weinglass. Good job, buddy.
I think, Bert was confused. There were two Matts for a second. Not to be confused with my twin brother, Jeremy, actually. But thank you, Molly. Yeah, Molly Littlebird. Very good. Now, so look, I'll say before I pass to you on your thoughts, I've self-analyzed this, and I know there were 3 points that I tapped on, I brushed over, but didn't go in for the kill. One would be making that comparison to Black Lives Matter. I should have brought up January 6th. Very important because I wanted to get the other audience understanding. And we talk about that on the show. And I wasn't able to fully connect the dots that it's not just left movements that are captured. It's right too. So both should be able to understand that. Very important comparison. I did get the budget wrong on the ICE. It's actually $500 million a year. Each single president has upped it $500 million every year for sure. Ultimately, this is not about immigration after all. And I should have put in the point that it was backed down on. And it's not because Trump was pressured to. It was because it was never about the immigration. It was about getting people in the streets, causing havoc, wreaking havoc in LA, which they did. And I did make that point. I'm glad I got that in, that was actual havoc by ICE that was wreaked here in the city, which got people off into the streets to begin with. But the final point, and I think I was just a little too nervous to go into Palantir, but I wanted to say ultimately this is about the surveillance state. I did mention the provocateurs. He didn't seem interested in going further on that, but at least that got said and out in the open. So I think I did the best with the time I had. But I'll let you respond. But
what's your overall message that you were trying to get out there? I mean, obviously, maybe you could have got it a little bit better in certain spots. You're saying to me, but what was your overall message about what you were trying to convey on that show right there?
I wanted to plant seeds because I know that conversations that aren't happening on these large scales, we're not talking about the surveillance state. We're not talking about the bait and switch on immigration to fool people into a movement that matters, that's going to be captured. I wanted to talk about on the ground that we've seen, and I think I did do this. There are provocateurs. There are people that are positioned there to wreak havoc and to up the violent element. And then ultimately, I wanted to say this is about Palantir. And by the way, one more point. I know you would like this, and Danny Shaw, friend of the show, would also like this. It would have been awesome to punch at the very end. The reason we have the immigration problem in the beginning is American imperialism, which is another thing they never, ever talk about. So I don't know how to do all that at once, but I think just planting seeds, people can at least start to think for themselves and go, maybe I'm not getting the full story when I turn on CNN.
It's tough, too, because the questions they're asking sometimes don't let you drive the bus to get directly where you want to get. Well, let's see if I have similar messaging in mind real quick. Mine's only like a minute and change. I did my interview first, and then they just played a piece of it later on. Take a look. Give me a share, and I'll put it on up.
Here we go.
Craig Jardula is the co-host of the Truth Wire news outlet, and he says that the riots underscore how divided the U.S. is and are reminiscent of the color revolutions that Washington is alleged to have been orchestrating in other countries.
Wow.
This is so divisive. This is very, very divisive over here. It's almost as if Donald Trump is playing into the divisiveness. And that's why he mentioned the Civil War, because these are the areas in which they really enrage the people and get them to go to one corner or the other. And these things are meant to divide the country and actually kind of form a color revolution. And as we know, the United States has been pushing color revolutions all around the world. Well, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Whatever the empire does abroad, Eventually, the chickens will come home to roost, and they'll do it on their own people. And that's what this seems like this is all about, because it's distracting from all the other crazy news out there. What's going on in Ukraine and Russia? Why hasn't it ended? Why has Palantir now been tasked to look at our data and collect it? What's going on with so many other situations in Israel and Gaza? Nobody's paying attention to that right now. All eyes are over here. So this seems like the best distraction the state can get right now, and they're going to use it to their benefit.
Divide and distract, right? That's what it is to me. Divide and distract.
Man,
you kind of what I wanted to get there. So they asked me 4 questions, and they took a chunk out of 1.5 of them. So I was happy with it. It's a good little piece. It's fun.
That's great, man. Those are the bullet points right there. And if anybody's just in their camps and they're not, there's people that are not going to get out of their camps, period. There's nothing we can do. But if there's people that's questioning right now, and you hit bullet points like that, it might be enough to make them look into a couple of those things, or at least one of those things, because they're all important. And you just listed them. And it's like, these are the things that were not being said on mainstream, because they're supposed to protect those thoughts and they're supposed to dumb down. That's their job, right? They dumb down the bullet points to one thing, right? So the one thing about tomorrow, this King's Day, no King's Day thing. The one thing is this. It's the symbol they came up with. Let me grab that again. The symbol is Trump with a king hat and an X through it. It's as simple as you can get, and that's all they need. There's nothing else going on. Nothing else to see here with imperialism. Nothing else to see here with Palantir. Nothing else to see here with Israel first and World War III imminent. Nothing else to see here with anything else except this one guy uniquely wants to be king, and we need to stop him and get everything back to normal, where the oligarchs like Walmart heiress who's funding this can get back to business as usual, and Bernie doing fake rallies against the oligarchy.
Ignore the fact that your Democrats, past presidents, deported more people than Donald Trump. Ignore the facts that every single Democrat is for all those budgets, and they don't care how much money ICE and the military get. Ignore the fact that the Democrats, the ones who are funding this and pushing this, are part of the empire abroad that couped Manuel Zelaya in Honduras and removed Gaddafi in Libya. Ignore the fact and just concentrate on Donald Trump as the authoritarian. We got to take him out. Co-option. Distract and divide.
And
all the other news going on, what Donald Trump is doing over here while you're looking over there.
And look, this is very, very, this part's important because, like, again, I'm here. Like, this is our friends and family. This is my personal family here. We're affected by the targeting of ICE that happened, that up these deportations, taking people out of their elementary schools and graduations. I mean, this happened, but that was to get the people in the street to create this chaos. But we have to look at the numbers. This is where I got, and again, I accidentally said million instead of billion, but this is, I mean, this is the funding. It's consistent. It doesn't matter who's in office. You just go up another $500 million every single year. That's how it goes. It's not rocket science when you say, what is Trump up to? What is he up to? He's trying to get rid of everyone. No, he's not trying to get rid of everyone, because that's going to upset. It's why, and we showed that clip earlier, right? That he's saying on record, we gotta protect our farmers and our hospitality.
We gotta let them exploit the cheap labor.
Yeah, but again, and this isn't about moral compass, or this is about, I have a certain point I'm allowed to go, and then I'm told to stop. That's the instruction from the top down. And believe me, if you guys don't know, there's a top above Trump. He's not the top. He's not the king with the crown that we have to take the crown off of. It's the people above that are telling him, this is where you stop the deportations. This is where no more invading, graduations in elementary schools. We did enough. Now we have all the things we need for what we call, a major national psyop coming tomorrow, or even as far as Don DeBar has suggested this earlier today, even as far as a false flag operation this weekend, which it might be all leading to. I don't know if you had a thought on that, but these are the conversations that they don't want to have.
Yeah, but Don, he's still looking at the term of the fact that, like, Donald Trump's an outsider and they're trying to now move on him and get rid of him. And it's like, no, dude, they're They're all working together. Come on. This is all about distract and divide and get the people pit against each other. And that's what he's doing. He's doing his job. I mean, already this protest from the leftist perspective has been co-opted. Its real message is going to be drowned out. There will be less unity on the left and is already divided as can be. So it's Operation All Thumbs Go for both sides, you know?
Yeah. Well, what do you think is going to go down this weekend? I mean, we have two things. I mean, we have to look internationally. We have to look at the Iran and Israel and what's happening there in real time, because that's going on every hour. There's an update. And then what's happening nationally on the street in every major city tomorrow on June 14th. What's your prediction of what's going down the next, I don't know, 24
There's going to be
hours?
some chaos, and we just don't know how level. Just enough to get the people distracted while other things go down, or do they want to use this as something else? Is this a jumping off point? We have to pay attention to everything that's going on. We have to pay attention early to his birthday party, his parade, military style, whatever, and tank day, flag day, whatever it is, and we have to see how it starts over there. If there's any protest over there, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I mean, we just got to keep our eyes on everything how it unfolds. The main thing is that we just call it out in real time as it's unfolding, try to get the message out there, what's really important, try to highlight the importance of what people are doing. There is a lot of important messages that need to be told. You know what I'm saying? Everything from states' rights, right? The Republicans are supposed to be all about states' rights. So why did Donald Trump send, in ICE into California when it's clearly a blue state? You don't live there, you don't care what happens, and it's a community that overwhelmingly stands up for the immigrant community. Why would you go do that? And then why would you send the guard to help with police forcing it? That hasn't been done in a long time. There are certain things that need to be talked about. That's why it's kind of, to me, why I don't think that there's no coup against Donald Trump. Donald Trump was the one who went ahead and started all the actions to put this in motion.
Yeah.
Now, whether he was manipulated to back him into a situation like that, okay, fine. But no, I mean, no way.
Well, here's what he's saying in advance.
Administration of all times.
Yeah.
Donald Trump's a part of it, guys.
He's part of it. But here's his little warning.
There's no resurrecting him. There's no saving him. There is no chess move. No, it's done completely.
Well, here's his message to all the protesters ready to go out in droves tomorrow on his birthday. Here's what he's got to say to us. Here it is.
If there's any protester wants to come out, they will be met with very big force. By the way, for those people that want to protest, they're going to be met with very big force. And I haven't even heard about a protest, but, this is people that...
Just mentioning protests, but I haven't heard about it.
They will be met with very heavy force.
I mean, they want this. This is the rhetoric they want because people get behind this. They keep pushing it.
Yeah.
We can throw out the First Amendment because Israel says so. We can throw out the Fourth Amendment because it's an immigrant. We can throw out the Fifth Amendment because it's an immigrant. We can be more authoritarian. Let's keep pushing the boundaries. Let's see what we can do because the people are obviously cheering it on. And one side's cheering against the radical left. The other side's cheering against the Trump. I mean, it's just divide and conquer 101.
Yeah. Well, I think we should. Exactly. Molly Little Bird. Divide and conquer is the oldest manipulation, and the Uniparty uses it well. Thanks, Molly, for that one. This is why we do the show, guys. This is why we have to warn you guys in advance. This is happening, and we have to stop simplifying messages. Again, it's a good cause, but it's been captured. This cause has been captured. This is a design by the Walmart heiress that put billions of dollars into this campaign. So just know that. I'm not saying don't go out in the streets. I understand you want to go protest. You're right. By the way, you have a right to protest. That's absolutely true. And when you have Florida police chiefs telling you you're in advance, they're going to murder you if you spit in their face, or worse, if someone next to you spits in a cop's face, they're gonna fire in your direction. You might get hurt and you might get killed just because you were standing next to somebody who chugged a lethal loogie in the face of an officer. And you know how delicate and fragile officers are these days, Craig. They go home traumatized by spit. So you're going to get unloaded on. So even with all that, and knowing that this is being funded by a billionaire class, we're not saying here on the Homeless Left that you shouldn't go out and protest. Just know that what you're walking into is a captured movement. So be loud, but be aware and be careful. I know everyone says be safe, but just be smart. Not just about your physical safety, but be smart about what's really happening when you see those bricks that were laid out in advance, or when you see these people that don't look like they fit the mold and they come out of the shadows and they're fully in black and they have all these weapons and they throw them in smoke bombs and then are gone. Just be very effing careful, because what we saw in LA was freaking horrible. And if it's not the blueprint, which it is, it's the blueprint for the rest of the country and what the response is going to be throughout, I would say tomorrow for sure, and probably throughout the weekend. But we'll see. And we're going to be back here next Tuesday, guys, and we'll have some commentary for you on what happened. But we hope everybody's safe and just stay smart, stay safe, and just try to understand what's really going on that you're not being told on mainstream outlets.